Good morning, students. Before I start my video, I would like you to tell that every day when you see your videos in your student ID, you also have to search for the homework in your student ID. And when you will search your homework, you will be marked as present. That will also be your attendance. So you need to get that. You need to be present so that we can mark that you are present. You have to do your homework from that. It's not in the LMS, it's in the homework section. So please check your homework section also. So now let's begin with the video. In the previous video, we have learned about types of chemical reaction. They were combination reaction, displacement reaction, double displacement reaction, decomposition reaction, and oxidation and reduction reaction. So out of these 5 reactions, we have learned about these 3 reactions in detail in the previous video. So now today we'll be learning about double displacement reaction and oxidation reaction. So let's start with the double displacement reaction. Double displacement reaction are those reactions in which there is an exchange of ions. Like we have read about displacement reaction. Displacement reaction was that reaction in which one element takes place of the another element in a compound or in a solution form. That means the higher reactive element used to displace the other less reactive element from its salt solution. That was the displacement reaction. Now, double displacement reaction is a little different than that. In this, there is an exchange of ion from any compound, from 2 compounds, and as a result, in the product also 2 compounds are formed. So, those reaction in which 2 compounds reacts by an exchange of ions to form 2 new compounds. So, 2 new compounds will be formed using 2 previous compounds are called as a double displacement reaction. For example, if we'll take any solution, 2 solutions, and we'll be mixing them, so we'll be getting 2 different new kinds of solution in that. So for example, AgNO3. Now AgNO3 is a salt, that is silver nitrate, and the other one is sodium chloride. I have written AQ and AQ here and S and AQ here. So these AQ and S denotes AQ means it's an aqueous solution. When we mix any solute with the water in a liquid form, water, then it becomes aqueous solution. Like when we mix any salt in H2O, then it is called as aqueous solution. So silver nitrate salt is mixed with water or it's dissolved with water, forming silver nitrate solution. Same here, we'll be mixing sodium chloride into water, forming a sodium chloride solution. So for this activity, we'll have to take 2 test tubes. Into it we will take 3 ml of AgNO3, and in the other we will be taking 3 ml of NaCl solution. Both of them should be in the solution form. If they will be in powder form, the reaction will not take place. Okay, so they will be in solution form. Then after, as soon as we'll add NaCl to AgNO3, we'll be getting AgCl, that is silver chloride. So that means Ag. Ag is the positive ion. Okay, silver here. Ag is having a positive ion, that is silver, and NO3 here is having negative ion. So when we'll be mixing it with NaCl, so Na being a metal having a positive ion and chlorine having a non-metal having a negative ion. So this Ag will react with this Cl combine, and this NO3 will combine with this Na, forming AgCl. Okay, because positive ion here and negative ion, so it's another salt plus NaNO3. Okay, so that means here was positive ion, it left its negative ion NO3 and it combined with chlorine ion, and in the other case sodium ion combined with nitrate ion, forming the 2 new compounds. Now this reaction is also called as precipitation reaction, because if you'll see here, I've written white PPT here. That means you have read in your previous video about the characteristics of chemical reaction. In those characteristics, we have read about evolution of gas, and one of them was formation of precipitates. So precipitates are basically the any part of a substance in which they are not soluble in the solution. Any colorless any colorless or any colored substances which is insoluble in the solution is called as precipitate. So here silver chloride precipitates are formed. So in this test tube, what we'll see is that there will be a solution of sodium nitrate. Along with this, there will be some white colored powdery substance which is no more dissolved soluble in the water. So this is a reaction. It is called as double displacement reaction because this is displaced with this, so it combines with this. So there is an interchange or exchange of ions called as double displacement reaction, and most of the time double displacement reaction is also precipitation reaction. Next example would be, this is a very important example. It also comes in, I've seen this question coming almost many times in the board exams. Now barium chloride, it's BaCl2 combined with Na2SO4. Now again we will have to take aqueous solution, that BaCl2 will be mixed in water forming a barium chloride solution, and here sodium sulfate will be mixed with the water forming a sodium sulfate solution. So when we'll take these two solutions in different test tube and we'll mix them together, as soon as we'll mix them, we will be getting some white color precipitate. Precipitate will be of barium sulfate. Along with this, we will get some sodium chloride. Again, the same thing will happen. Like here, BaCl2. So barium is a metal, so it will be having a 2 plus ion because the valency of barium is 2 and chlorine will be having 1 ion only. That is why the formula is 2 here. Now it will be mixed with Na2SO4. That means Na has valency plus 1 and SO4 has valency of minus 2. Okay, or 2 minus. So when we'll mix with that, barium will mix with SO4 here because it is a positive ion. It will combine with a negative ion, and chlorine will mix with the sodium ion. So it will be BaSO4 plus NaCl. So BaSO4, since barium has valency 2 and SO4 has valency 2, so we can also cut these two and we can write, instead of this we can write BaSO4, and NaCl, Na having valency 1 and Cl having valency 1, we can write simple NaCl. Okay, so this is how it happens when BaCl2 is mixed with when the solution of BaCl2 is mixed with the solution of Na2SO4, then barium sulfate, then precipitates of barium sulfate is formed along with the sodium chloride solution. So these are also called as precipitation reaction. In short, we can also say that any reaction, you can write down the definitions also, any reactions in which an insoluble solid or precipitate is formed that separates from the solution is called as precipitation reaction. That means whenever in any reaction there is a formation of any insoluble solid portion which is separated from its solution, which does not mixes with the solution, is called as precipitate, and the reaction in which there is formation of precipitate is called as precipitation reaction. Okay, then there is another activity for you. It is in your book activity 1.2. In that activity, okay, in this activity we will have to take lead nitrate. So if you remember, when we have read about the precipitation reaction, we have taken this example. So this is an important example. It's a very important example. Please go through this example. In your book also written, there's an activity 1.2. I've tried to explain you the activity. So when lead nitrate, so lead nitrate is PbNO3, nitrate is NO3, and valency of lead is 2. So the formula is PbNO3 whole twice. So it will be in aqueous form because precipitation reaction or double displacement reaction happens only in the presence of when the salts are in the solution form or the salts are mixed with the water. So lead nitrate reacts with potassium iodide. Potassium iodide is when potassium combines with iodine, it forms potassium iodide. Okay, now it forms lead iodide and potassium nitrate solution is formed. So when Pb, okay, now Pb is a metal, so it will be having 2 plus ion, okay, along with this nitrate. So the formula is NO2 and valency of nitrate is only minus 1. Okay, this is NO. Now it will react with potassium iodide. So potassium is having valency 1 and iodine is having valency 1. So plus and minus. So this lead will combine with this iodine and this nitrate will combine with this potassium, forming lead iodide. Now this lead iodide is because lead is having valency 2, so here is 2 plus potassium nitrate. Nitrate is having valency 1 and potassium is having valency 1, so that is why there is no other formula. So it basically is 1 and 1. So I haven't balanced this reaction. You know that you have to balance the reaction as well. So it is a kind of a double displacement reaction, and in this double displacement reaction, this is also a precipitation reaction because there is a formation of yellow colored precipitate. So make sure that when we perform double displacement reaction, in the case of barium sulfate, you will be getting white precipitate. Just remember these words. When you will be getting barium sulfate precipitates, they will be of white color, and when they will be getting silver chloride precipitate, it will also be in white color. But when you'll get lead iodide, it will be in yellow color. So please remember, lead iodide is always in yellow color. So this is an activity in your book which is not solved. They have asked you what will be getting as a result. Since we cannot interact in classroom, so I am telling you here, and we cannot perform these practicals in laboratory right now. So I have tried my level best to explain you here, as I have made some diagrams so that you can be more clear with this. We will be having 2 test tubes. Into one test tube we will be having solution of lead nitrate. Lead nitrate is PbNO3 whole twice, and into the other test tube we will be having solution of potassium iodide. So both of the salts will be in the solution form. So after mixing potassium iodide into lead nitrate solution, we will be getting lead iodide precipitates at once. So as soon as we'll mix both the solution with each other, there will be quickly a formation of yellow colored precipitate, and precipitates will be of lead iodide, that is PbI2. Along with that, we will be getting a solution of potassium nitrate. So after mixing lead nitrate with potassium iodide, we will be having precipitates of lead iodide that will be of yellow in color. Along with that, we will be having solution of potassium nitrate. So this is an example of double displacement reaction and precipitation reaction, and here is the reaction which I have written. Again, please take a look on this reaction, that is PbNO3 whole twice. This reaction is not given in your book, just an activity, and that is it. So you have to write the reaction by your own. Here I've helped you out with the reaction, and this is a question which almost comes every time. I have seen this question coming a lot of time in the board exam, may it be of 1 mark or more than that. So it is PbNO3 whole twice. Just make it sure that it is lead nitrate. Solution aqueous form will react with potassium iodide, giving lead iodide yellow precipitate and potassium nitrate solution. So this is it. Now moving to the next example, which is BaCl2. Now BaCl2, again it is barium chloride. Now barium chloride is also a salt when barium combined with chlorine. So here barium is a positive ion and chlorine is the negative. Chloride is the negative ion. Barium have valency 2 plus and chlorine have valency 1 minus. So it is the formula BaCl2. When BaCl2 in the solution form will react or will be mixed with potassium sulfate solution. Potassium is K and sulfate is having valency of 2. So potassium is having valency of 1. So it is K2SO4. So since it will be a double displacement reaction, so there will be exchange of ion. That means Ba2 plus ion will be combining with SO4 sulfate ion, and this chloride ion will be combining with potassium ion. So the result will be BaSO4. Since barium sulfate are formed as in the case of in the form of white precipitates, so we will be having white precipitates of barium sulfate, along with we will be having solution of potassium chloride. So again it's a precipitation reaction, and since there is an exchange of ions, so it is also a double displacement reaction. So we will be having white precipitates of barium sulfate. Now I've written few valencies of ions so that you can learn these valencies. Here it is SO4 2 minus, that means sulfate is having valency of 2 minus, barium is having valency of 2 plus, silver having valency plus, chlorine having valency minus 1, Pb, that is lead, having valency 2 plus, and nitrate having valency of 1 minus, potassium having valency of plus, and iodine having valency of minus, because iodine is a non-metal. So apart from these examples, if you want to learn more of these, you have to go through your NCERT 9th class book. Into that, in third chapter, all the valencies of ions are given. You can also learn the formulas from there. It will be very helpful for you for the 10th standard. So please, in these days of lockdown, you can go through your books, you can read as much as you can, and you can clear all your doubts. Apart from these, if you don't have your textbook in a hard copy, you can also go through some PDF files in a Google Drive. You can find out the software version of your NCERT books in internet. If you want, I can share the link with you so that you can study at your home if you don't have your NCERT book. So please go through your books and read all the questions which I am teaching you. So next we'll be starting is the oxidation and reduction. So oxidation and reduction. So let's start with oxidation and reduction. Oxidation is basically in any reaction when there is addition of oxygen, then it is called as oxidation reaction. Example, when we have read an example of magnesium, when magnesium ribbon is burned in the presence of oxygen, then magnesium oxide is formed. That means that magnesium is oxidized. So whenever there is addition of oxygen, that is called as oxidation. Now reduction is when there is removal of oxygen. That means when if we remove oxygen from magnesium oxide, then they will be called as reduction. And the other example of oxidation and reduction is when there is in any compound, if there is a removal of hydrogen, then it is called as again oxidation, and if there is addition of hydrogen, then it is called as reduction. So basically oxidation is either an addition of oxygen or a removal of hydrogen, and reduction is either removal of oxygen or addition of hydrogen is called as reduction. There is an example, there is an activity in your NCERT book in which we have to burn some copper. Copper. We will be heating, not burning, we will be heating copper in the presence of oxygen. So copper will be heated in the presence of oxygen and we will be getting CuO, because when copper is heated with the oxygen in the presence of oxygen, then we will be getting copper oxide. So activity is like that. We have to take a copper powder in a china dish. A china dish is a round dish like a vessel. It is made up of bone china. So we will take some brown powder. Copper powder is of brown color, and then we will heat it. We will keep it in a tripod stand, and then we will heat it. After heating, what we'll see that the brown color of copper will be converted into black color. It will be converted into black color. Okay, so now this brown copper will be converted into black color powder due to the formation of copper oxide. So that means this is an example of oxidation reaction. So after this, when say copper oxide is again treated with hydrogen. If we will pass a lot of hydrogen to this copper oxide and again we will heat it, so it will again convert to copper, and along with that water vapors are removed. So this hydrogen combined with this oxygen produces water, and this copper oxide turned into copper. So here this reaction is an example of both oxidation and reduction. I will explain you how. Since it is CuO, it has already been oxidized. Copper has already been oxidized to CuO. So this is copper oxide, and this copper oxide is converted into Cu. That means there is somewhere removal of the oxygen. So it is a reduction reaction. All right. And in this is hydrogen, and we are seeing that oxygen is getting added to this hydrogen. So this is an oxidation reaction, because addition of oxygen is called as oxidation reaction and removal of hydrogen is called as reduction reaction. So definition is the addition of oxygen to a substance is called as oxidation. Whenever we add oxygen to any substance, it is called as oxidation, and or when we remove hydrogen from a substance is called as oxidation. That means the addition of oxygen or a removal of hydrogen are called as oxidation. Next is reduction. In this, the addition of hydrogen to a substance is called as reduction. When there is addition of hydrogen or when there is removal of oxygen. So the removal of oxygen from a substance is called as reduction. Please write down these reactions and you have to learn these reactions. So I will repeat again. Addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. In any case, if there is addition of oxygen, if oxygen is added to any reaction, it's called as oxidation, and if hydrogen is removed, then also it is called as oxidation. And if hydrogen is adding in the reaction, it is called as reduction, and if oxygen is removed, it is called as reduction. So there is another thing, some more terms which I'll be telling you. Oxidizing agent. Now after learning about oxidation and reduction, these few things are very important for you to understand. It is oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Now oxidizing agents are those compounds which helps the reaction to undergo oxidation. That means oxidizing agent will be reducing themselves. I think you are not getting right now, but I will be telling you with a few examples. So for now, please go through the definition and I will be explaining you more further. So the substance which gives oxygen for oxidation is called an oxidizing agent. So whenever there is a reaction, for example, this is a reaction. In this reaction, this CuO, okay, so this copper oxide is giving oxygen. Okay, this is giving oxygen to this, okay, because it itself is getting reduced. So since it is getting reduced, it is undergoing reduction. So this will be a oxidizing agent. So the substance which gives oxygen. So who is giving oxygen here? Copper oxide is having oxygen. So copper oxide is giving oxygen to hydrogen. So removal of oxygen is called as reduction, and the compound or the agent which gives their oxygen to some other compound are called as oxidizing agents. So in short, we can see that oxidizing agent reduces themselves or they undergo reduction, and they help the other compounds to undergo oxidation. Okay, so the substance which gives oxygen for oxidation is called as oxidizing agent, or the substance which removes hydrogen. Here in this reaction, we are talking in the terms of oxygen, but in some reaction there is no oxygen, only hydrogen is present. So in that case also, when any compound is helping to remove hydrogen from them, it is also called as oxidizing agent. So reducing agent are the substances which gives hydrogen for reduction. So those substances which will give hydrogen for reduction, so themselves they will be oxidizing. That means this is a reducing agent, and reducing agent get oxidized themselves. So this is giving their hydrogen to oxygen and they are getting oxidized. So who will give hydrogen, or who will help in the removing of oxygen? They are removing the oxygen from this, so they are themselves getting oxidized. So reducing agents are the opposite of oxidizing agent. So the agents or the compound which will be getting oxidized are called as reducing agents, and the agents which are getting reduced themselves are called as oxidizing agents. So let's take a closer look to this. Like, here is the reaction. Wait a second. Here is the reaction. So just now I've told you a reaction about copper oxide. I have written an reaction like copper. In this we have already written copper oxide. Okay, so I haven't mentioned about copper converting into copper oxide, that you already know. So we'll start with this CuO, that is copper oxide plus hydrogen. When we will heat copper oxide with hydrogen, so copper will be converted into again brown color. So copper oxide is of black color. Basically copper powder is of red color, and when we will heat it in the presence of oxygen, it will form into black color copper oxide. Remember that. So now this black color copper oxide is again heated in the presence of hydrogen gas. Then again the brown color copper is formed, the black color is gone, and again it comes to its original brown color. Along with that some water is formed. So in this reaction, this copper oxide is reducing itself to copper, and this hydrogen is oxidizing itself to water. So here it is reduction, that is removal of oxygen, and here it is oxidation, that is addition of oxygen. So here CuO is an oxidizing agent. Why it is oxidizing agent? Because this is helping this to get oxidized, because this is giving its oxygen to H2. Copper oxide is giving its oxygen. So the agents which get reduced themselves, which are getting reduced themselves, are called as oxidizing agent, because they are removing their oxygen. Okay, and H2 here is called as reducing agent, because it is helping it to go reduction. So it is called as reducing agent, and reducing agent will itself undergo oxidation. So it is kind of a reciprocal. The compounds which are getting reduced are called as oxidizing agent, and the compounds which are getting oxidized are called as reducing agent. And here CuO is a substance which is getting reduced because it is undergoing reduction reaction, and here H2 is getting oxidized because it is undergoing oxidation reaction. So the substances which get reduced are called as oxidizing agent, and the substance which get oxidized are called as reducing agent. Okay, so we'll be taking another example of here we are talking about oxygen only, but we have also to learn about reduction. So on the basis of hydrogen. Okay, so basically we have learned here in the basis of oxygen. So now we will be learning something in the basis of hydrogen. So here it is H2S, that is hydrogen sulfide. Okay, hydrogen sulfide plus Cl2, that is chlorine. So now hydrogen sulfide is reacting with chlorine. What it forms? It forms sulfur. When hydrogen sulfide is heated in the presence of chlorine, then sulfur is formed. Along with that, HCl, hydrochloric acid, is formed. So here there is no oxygen in this reaction. So how we can tell about this, whether it's an oxidation or reduction? Simple is that hydrogen sulfide here is converting into sulfur. That means from this compound hydrogen is being removed. So hydrogen sulfide is only converting into sulfur, and here it is the addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen, or the addition of oxygen or the removal of hydrogen. Okay, either addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. So here it is removal of hydrogen. So when hydrogen is getting removed, so that means this is an oxidation reaction. And here in chlorine, hydrogen is adding, so addition of hydrogen. Okay, so addition of hydrogen is reduction. So here in the chlorine, hydrogen is adding. So when there is removal of hydrogen, it is called as oxidation, and when there is removal of hydrogen, it is called as reduction. So this is an reduction reaction. So in this reaction, since both the reactions are taking place at the same time, we can also call it as a redox reaction. Redox reaction. Okay, redox reaction are those reactions in which both the oxidation and reduction takes place, because in this reaction, in the previous reaction, wait a second, in the previous reaction we cannot find any in this reaction we cannot find any in the case of C, when the carbon was converted into, when the copper was converted into copper oxide, there was no reduction in there, but there was only oxidation. But in the reactions, when there is both oxidation and reduction, they are called as redox reaction. So if we'll see it closely, here H2S, now H2S gas is the substance which is oxidized, because it is, hydrogen is being removed, so it is undergoing oxidation and it is somehow oxidized into sulfur. Now chlorine is getting reduced, because chlorine is getting a reduction, and it is getting reduced because it is having hydrogen added to it, so it is getting reduced, and the substance which get oxidized are called as reducing agent. It is like an opposite or a reciprocal of this. The substance which oxidize themselves are called as reducing agent, and the substance which get reduced are called as oxidizing agents. So since a Cl2 is helping in reduction, so it is called as oxidizing agent, and since H2S is helping in the oxidation, so it is called as reducing agent. So once again, if we'll be reading this definition, it will be more easy for you, is that the substance which gives oxygen for oxidation is called an oxidizing agent, and the substance which removes hydrogen is called as oxidizing agent. So either substance give oxygen or either the substance removes the hydrogen are called as oxidizing agent. And in the case of reducing agent, the substance gives hydrogen for reduction, or the substance which removes the oxygen are called as reducing agents. So reducing agents are those agents which help in the oxidation, and oxidizing agent are those agents which help in the oxidation. So the substances which get oxidized are called as reducing agent, and the substance which get reduced are called as oxidizing agents. So basically, oxidizing agents are those agents which undergoes reduction, and reducing agents are those agents which undergoes oxidation. So I think it would be clear to you people. If you have any problem, you can go through the video again. You can take the screenshots of the notes which I have made, or if you have any query, I will give you the notes again. So moving up to the next example, it is that ZNO, that is zinc oxide plus carbon. Now this is a reaction which you will be learning in your chapter number 3, metals and non-metals, where there is extractions of the metals from their ore. So zinc oxide is basically purified with the help of heating with the carbon, so it is converted into zinc, pure zinc. So now here, since it's zinc oxide, so it is heated with carbon along with the carbon, or burned with the carbon. So what will happen is that zinc, we will get only zinc, and we will get carbon monoxide gas. So in this, there is also an oxidation and reduction. So again, it is an redox reaction. What happens is that now ZNO, here the oxygen, it is removed. Since the oxygen is removed, and the removal of oxygen is called as reduction, and here the oxygen is added to this C. So here it is oxidation. So reduction is going on, oxidation is going on, that means it is an redox reaction. And ZNO, because it is reducing itself, so it will be called as oxidizing agent. So the agent which reduces themselves is called as oxidizing agent, and the compound which oxidize themselves is called as reducing agent. So CO is a reducing agent here. Okay, now moving with the terms of the other example, that is MnO4 plus 4HCl. So now here MnO4 is, okay, so MnO4 is manganese dioxide. So manganese dioxide plus HCl, hydrochloric acid. So we are talking in the terms of metals now. So when manganese dioxide reacts with hydrochloric acid, then MnCl2, that is manganese dichloride, is formed along with chlorine and and water. So here this MnO is getting reduced because oxygen is getting removed from this and turning it into MnCl2, manganese dichloride. So here it is reduction, and in the case of HCl, this HCl is converting into water. So somewhere it is addition of oxygen. So when there is addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen, it is called as oxidation reaction. So from this chlorine, hydrogen is being removed, so that is called as oxidation reaction. It is also an oxidation reaction with this case also. So what we'll get is that MnCl2 plus chlorine plus water. So since this HCl is getting oxidized, so it is called as reducing agent, and since this MnO2 is getting reduced, it's called as oxidizing agent. Now there is another definition which is not in your textbook, but you can learn this as well. The other form of oxidation and reduction, that is the addition of non-metallic element or removal of metallic element, is called as oxidation. So when there is an addition of any non-metallic element or when there is addition of non-metallic compounds, that is called as oxidation, and when there is removal of any metallic element, it is called as oxidation. So in a reaction when there is no hydrogen or oxygen present, and we just have to look over the reaction and to tell about oxidation or reduction, so what we'll see is that we'll check out whether there are metals or non-metals. So if non-metals are adding into a reaction, that will be called as oxidation, or if metals will be removing from the reaction, that will be called as oxidation reaction. In other case, the addition of metallic element. Okay, so if metallic element are added or if non-metallic elements are removed, then it is called as reduction. So this is the topic completed today of oxidation and reduction and double displacement reaction. Hope you have understood. Please go through your homework section in your student ID and check the homework worksheets. Please try to find out the answers also of the previous homework in there itself. And I would like you to people to learn and read your books and try to cooperate with us, so that when you will get back to school, you can be more with your topics and we can move ahead with our syllabus. So please take care of yourself and study hard. Thank you.